What's good, Wizards fans? It's your host, the real Ed Oliver and Brandon Scott. We're going to talk a little bit about the Poole party, the Washington Wizards trade for Jordan Poole, and also draft Bilal Coulibaly. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Just want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your purchase. First purchase, last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, so big news today, man. The Washington Wizards trade Chris Paul to the Golden State Warriors for Jordan Poole, a protected first-round pick in 2030, and a second-rounder in 2027 to the Wizards for Chris Paul, league sources said per Shams Charania. The Wizards also get Ryan Rollins. So Golden State is also trading 2022 second-rounder Ryan Rollins to the Washington Wizards as part of the Jordan Poole CP3 deals. CP3 deal sources said. Also, Ryan Rollins, he went to Toledo, a good athletic combo guard out of Toledo last year in the 2022 second-round pick. As a 2022 second-round pick. It is very light. It is very late, as you can see. I'm already getting a little delirious because it's a little late for me, but it's 11:55, which is super. It's not super late, but it is kind of late. The Wizards in the draft is still going on right now. The Wizards just traded a pick 35 to the Bulls for multiple second-round picks. So there's still moves going on. They may even make their second-round pick live, pick 42. They may make that live while we're discussing the draft right now. We are live. We're going to respond to comments at the end. Brandon, what are your thoughts about the Poole party coming to D.C.? Jordan Poole, the big news. What are your thoughts? We're going to talk about that first. Then we're going to talk about Bilal. What are your thoughts on that trade today?
Yeah, love it. Love it. Especially when you look at the returns for KP and Bill, kind of scratching your head and see where we go, where we go from here. And they responded, man. Moving on from Chris Paul. Look, Jordan Poole, man. He's intriguing. He's young. He hasn't even hit his prime yet. So could this move kind of expedite the rebuild? Yeah. I mean, he can be flipped, but I'm very intrigued to see him in the Wizards jersey. I ain't gonna lie to you. This team is going to be a young, hungry team. It's really starting to come together. I know we're rebuild year one, but, I'm really intrigued to see how he matches up with Tyus, if indeed that's going to be the backcourt. I think we're still going to see a consolidation trade to see what's going on with Monte, DeLon, and see where we go from there. But look, Tyus and him, that's an interesting young backcourt. Like I said, Jordan Poole can ball. So it's a really, really good move. We made some really good moves. 1 week, man, and we were able to revitalize this team. We moved on, we got assets. And I think the biggest thing, too, is also it doesn't break the cap for his contract, but you get draft assets. Now, get his 2030, so you're going to wait a little bit. But, if you look at, because I believe this was an extension of the Bradley Beal to Phoenix trade, right? So if you add the haul that we got from Phoenix, which I believe was 10 picks, 6 second-round picks, and 4 pick swaps, I mean, we made out like a bandit today, man. So I'm very, 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 very happy with this move. He is a young piece that, hey, like I said, he comes on the cheap. He's not breaking the cap. He hasn't even hit his prime yet. And I think, hey, he was with minutes, man, he could average 20+ next year, easy. So I think this is going to be a really, really young squad. Obviously, we're rebuilding, but we're going to talk about Bilal in a little bit, but it's starting to come together. You see a young foundation already. So, again, I'm loving what I see from this front office, man. Very, very impressed with this trade.
110%. The Wizards actually did make their pick. It did just come in. They selected it's the young man from Serbia. It's not pulling up right now, but we'll get to that in a second. They selected, I don't know why it's not pulling up on my Twitter, but to get back to the Poole party, Jordan Poole, I love the trade, to trade a 38-year-old Chris Paul for Jordan Poole, a young player who just needed to get out of Golden State. He just needed to. Of course, the situation with Draymond Green, I think he can come to the Wizards and really lock in and focus. I think he's going to be a great scorer for this team. We finally get a young asset, a young player that has shown potential and put up good numbers as a six-man coming off the bench, as a legitimate scorer, as a starter for the Warriors. He's a guy that has certainly blossomed in this league. Of course, he's had his up and downs and some maturity issues and question marks, kind of going back and forth with Draymond and staff on the bench and coaches in here and here and that. But I think he just needed to get out of that situation with Golden State after the punch in practice, that the video that was released. I think he's going to definitely focus here in DC and lock in. And he's going to put up some big numbers here. He's going to be the number one option, really the number one scorer in DC. Not only that, we get a 2030 first round pick. It's protected. It's top 20 protected. But guess what? The Wizards, we finally get a first round pick. So congratulations to the Wizards for doing that. And we got a second round pick. And we got a good player in Ryan Rollins. And there was talks of Chris Paul being bought out or even waived, and we end up getting getting stuff back for Chris Paul, a young, promising player in Jordan Poole and picks. So that's great news for that. And I really think Jordan Poole is going to be a good piece here. I really think he's going to be a good player. I'm intrigued to see him. And if Tyus Jones is here, I'm intrigued to see him play. And if Jordan Poole is not in the long-term future, let's say we get his trade value up even more before the trade deadline coming up next year, and we flip him for more picks. So that's a possibility as well. So I'm excited that we got Jordan Poole, man. He's going to be a lot of fun in DC. He's going to be a fun, exciting player to watch, a guy that has a lot of twitch, a lot of wiggle to him, a guy that can score, get to the basket. He has a bevy of moves. He's definitely a three-level scorer. He's a guy that can shoot the lights out when he gets hot. He's a microwave scorer. Last time he played in DC, he had 29 points against the Wizards. So this guy can really, 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 really fill it up. So, and now it really, and this is why we were both saying earlier today when we made the Kristaps video, we wanted to not judge or grade them off of the two trades that they made before. I think this trade, out of all three trades, I think this is the best trade. I think this is better than the Bradley Beal trade, of course, obviously. This is better than the return that we got for Kristaps. We knew that there were more moves. They had to make some more moves just to flip. They had to get Chris Paul and the Bradley Beal trade, and the Warriors had interest, so they used Chris Paul to flip him for Jordan Poole. So it was all a weird they had a weird mastermind of a plan, and it came through. So I'm very excited for the move that they made. But the pick just came in, so we're going to talk about that a little bit later, the 42nd pick. But now you look at it, the full trade here, and Jordan Poole, he's going to make $27.5 million this upcoming year. That's going to be the cap hit. So he got a good deal from the Warriors before he was traded here last year. So if you look at it in a vacuum, in the big picture, Bradley Beal was turned into 7 second-round picks, 1 protected first, 4 pick swaps, and Jordan Poole, who also has a no trade clause and one of the largest, or for somebody that had a no trade clause. So we really ended up with 7 second rounders, 1 protected first, and 4 pick swaps for Bradley Beal, and we got Ryan Rollins as well. So they made their magic work. They made it work with the worst situation that Tommy Shepard and Ted Leonsis put on them. They made something happen. They made some magic happen after it was underwhelming the first 2 days. They had us in the first half, but they finished strong with this move and getting Jordan Poole. And I'm excited to see Jordan Poole in a Wizard jersey for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm very excited, man. And I think, you know what? Yeah, they can flip him, but I don't think I think he's a keeper, man. I think that because you got to have a foundation for a rebuild. He's young. He hasn't hit his prime yet. See what he can do with his young group. I'm very interested to see how, Tyus Jones and him playing the backcourt. I want to, and really utilize shooters. Look, Corey Kispert can shoot. I'm really interested. So, man, I think we should keep him. I think he should be part of the future. That's just my humble opinion. But because, like I said, you got to have a foundation. He hasn't even hit his prime yet. He's an affordable contract. Right now we're rebuilding. We don't need to bring free agents here, so it's not even a cap issue anyways. So I definitely want to see what he can do long-term here in DC, man. I really, because he can play some ball. I mean, he's a young and up-and-coming talent, man. I'm trying to tell you, he's going to average about 20-plus a season. I'm trying to tell you, I'm a big fan of his. So yeah, I think this was a big move. Like you said, this is the better out of the three. This was a good move. Now I know it's incorporated with the Bill trade but it's kind of his own little separate transaction. But this was a money move. This front office has impressed me. They've totally, everybody's out of here. I mean, KP's gone. Kuzma's gone. Bill's gone. You got value. So I'm loving what I see from the front office, man. So yeah, going forward, I mean, obviously, a lot of people are going to be looking. I mean, I think there's still moves to be made. The depth chart is not finalized, but I would like to see a Tyus Jones and Jordan Poole backcourt because they're a young, hungry backcourt. So I'm very, very intrigued to see what they can do going forward, man. So no, it's a money trade. I know people were kind of judging off the Bill trade and judging off the KP trade, and I get it. The returns weren't that attractive, but they proved their worth. They showed why this is chess, not checkers.
Mm-hmm.
They are utilizing picks. They're accumulating picks. They're finding young talent, because we're about to talk about a young talent in a minute. So I'm saying, it was a very beautiful day for Wizards basketball going forward.
Right. Yeah. Every move is, like you said, chess, not checkers. Every move has a next move. Every plan has a plan A, plan B, plan C. So the big three of Michael Winger, Will Dawkins, and Travis Schlenk, I love what they did today. Just look at some of the numbers from Jordan Poole. He averaged 20 points a game this past season, 87% from the free throw line, 33% from the three-point line, which is okay. It's not great. He shot 36% last year, 18 points a game last year. Also 4 assists, 4.5 assists this year. So he can play point. He can play shooting guard. He's a combo guard. He's a guy that can fill it up. You see some beautiful passes from Jordan Poole, kind of like some and one mixtape tour kind of moves. So he's a guy that's going to get some fans in the seats. We may not get a lot of fans in the seats this year because they may not win a lot of games during this rebuild, but I think he's a guy that they're bringing into DC that fans can relate to, fans can get excited for, and fans can really relate to and get excited for, because they can respect his game. This guy is a bucket getter and can really score and can really fill it up. And if you are going to rebuild, you do want to at least have some attractive players in here that fans can certainly get behind. And I think Jordan Poole is a guy that definitely will do that. But we're going to get into the pick about Bilal, and then we'll talk about the pick that the Wizards just made at pick 42. We're going to talk about him a little bit. Before we do get to that, today's episode is brought to you by Birddogs. I love the Birddogs shirts that were sent to me. I got 2 pairs of shorts from Birddogs. They fit really, really well. I cook out on the grill wearing the shorts. I work out in the shorts. I have fun in the shorts. I go to the mall, do everything. I work in the shorts as well. They're just super flowy, super professional looking as well. They fit way better than regular shorts that are made of a stiff, restricting cotton. Birddogs, it uses anti-stink, sweat-wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA for a free Yeti-style tumbler. With your order, that's birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA for a free Yeti-style tumbler. You won't want to take your Birddogs off, we promise you. All right, so the Washington Wizards were aggressive. They moved up one spot with the Pacers to get Bilal Coulibaly. Jarris Walker was picked right after us, but we gave up 2 second-round picks. One was a 2028 second-round pick. One of the picks from the Phoenix Suns. So they were aggressive and moved to get Bilal Coulibaly. Also, Woj said that other teams were aggressive, that they really wanted to get Bilal as well. So that's why the Wizards felt the need to move up to pick 6 to get Bilal. But what's your thoughts on Bilal? Of course, I know you like Bilal out of France, played with Victor Wembanyama as well. What were your initial thoughts to the Wizards picking Bilal?
Long-term, great pick. Now I get it. He's raw. His shot is going to be, I think his 3-point shot is going to come along. He's got a potential to be a 3-point sniper. He does. But the thing is, he's got to work on his release, his slower release. So he's got to work on that. But 7'2" wingspan. He's an athlete. He's got hops. He's a Skywalker. I mean, he can attack the paint. His defense is on point. And this is coming from a French league where defense is a priority. So, if you can defend in and defend this league, that says something. So I think there's a potential that he can develop into a 3-and-D. A lot of comparisons are OG and Anunoby. So, that says a lot, man. OG, his offensive game, if you look at his earlier in his career, he had to develop his offensive game. He was not an offensive guy coming into the league. So, and look at him now, he's able to stretch the floor and create for himself. So I think that is the perfect comparison. That is the upside to Bilal. Whether he comes in and starts, whether he's coming out the bench, it remains to be seen. We're still early on in the process of, the offseason, but this is a guy going forward that I think properly developed, he can be an above average starter in his league. I think the potential is there. 6'8", still growing. Like I said, 7'2" wingspan. He can hop out the gym. So the shot's going to get there. He's just got to work on the faster release. But I love this pick, man. I think this is a high upside pick for this team. And this is the type of prospect, and plus, he's from France. So I know Ted is looking at the whole French connection, like he did with, Israel with Denny and Japan with Rui. So you got that connection. So no, overall, I'm very impressed. But again, I'm going to stress he is raw. So he's going to have to be developed a little bit. But, the fact that I don't know. This pick kind of resonates like Denny's pick, because you remember, it was the same MO when it came to Denny when we selected him, that it was a steal. Teams were trying to get up there and get the pick, so they hurried up and got him. So, but I get it, man. You see the potential with this guy. I'm very happy. I think he's going to develop into a really good player in DC, man, under this new regime. So yeah. Oh, and by the way, the pick was Tristan Vukcevic out of Serbia.
Yeah,
so,
so definitely a lot of heritage night, guys, for sure. Definitely a lot of heritage night. And Josh Robbins says that he potentially will be a draft and stash guy. I'm not a big fan of that. I get that we're gonna have a lot of that. We have so many second round picks that we have to possibly sit some guys out to keep roster spots. That's a big reason why they traded pick 35 to the Bulls for multiple future second round picks. But once again, just being scarred. I'll trust in the new front office is just being scarred about the draft and stash guys like Isuf Sanin and Yannick Zoza. But this guy can play. I was watching a little bit of his highlights. I'm not too familiar. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I know much about the guy, but I have watched him play. I watched him play in the combine, and he looked really fluid. He's a fluid athlete, can shoot the three, very versatile, big out of Serbia, of course. And we know a guy that played in Serbia that had a heck of a finals this past season too. So maybe we can get a little bit of that kind of potential there. But Bilal, I think, is a good player, very young, very athletic, played with Wemby, played kind of on their JV team with the 92. I want to say they're called the Metropolitan 92. Just super athletic, man. This guy is an athlete and a half. He's still growing, 6'6", 7'2" wingspan, only 18 years old. So you see the upside. He's definitely a boom or bust pick. He has sky high potential, but definitely has a super low floor. We did have an episode talking about him a couple of days ago where we had some guys from the Locked On NBA draft talk about him. But this guy can defend his butt off, man. And we don't have a lot of defenders like that on this team other than DeLon and Denny. But this guy is scrappy. He can get down in the stance. He can deflect a lot of passes, get his hands on a lot of passes, get some steals. Really good in transition. He will dunk on you. A lot of putback dunks as well. Definitely improved throughout the season. And you look at his playoffs in the international league that they play in. I got to do more research on the league as well. But had a couple of good games, 16 points. Had a game with 16 points. He was filling it up in the playoffs, so he improved throughout the year. So definitely has to work on that shot. Just looking at some of the numbers that I pulled up for Bilal Coulibaly in the playoffs. Now, in the playoffs, he averaged 8.8 points a game, 1.3 steals a game, 1 assist, 3 boards, shot 23% from the three-point line. So certainly has to improve from the three-point line, and 63% from the free throw line in the playoffs. This is per Basketball Reference. But you look at some of his numbers at the rim, and he shot the ball really well at the rim because, of course, he's dunking the ball. He's a very good cutter. He's very good moving without the basketball. Very good finisher around the rim. 65% in transition, 71.4% on cuts to the rim, 76.9% on offensive rebound putbacks as well, according to Synergy. So that just shows you how well of how he finishes around the rim. He's a good lob threat too. So he's a guy that they can throw lobs to, like Tyus. He can throw lobs to Bilal. In transition and in the half court, you can call some backdoor cuts for him to catch a lob. Same thing with Jordan Poole. He's a good passer as well, so they can find him. Denny's a good passer as well, so he can find Bilal in transition and for some lobs in the half court as well. So I'm intrigued, man. They're taking a swing. A lot of the times we want to see the Wizards take swings and go against the grain and not just go with the consensus ESPN mock draft pick. So I think this is a solid pick. The developmental staff is really going to be put to the test here because you definitely got to work on the shot. It's a little slow. You got to work on his mechanics for sure. But the talent is there. I think he's a young, hungry guy that's just definitely exploded on the scene. 2 months ago, not a lot of people were really talking about him at this spot, but once he got moved up to the varsity team and played really well in the playoffs, this guy really shot up the board. So, yeah, on the season, he shot 68.1% at the rim, which ranked him in the 82nd percentile as well. So those are just some stats and some numbers to get you guys familiar. Of course, some people look at the stats and they see that he averaged 5 points in a regular season, but don't just look at the numbers there. Just look at the upside, the potential, and I'm going to trust this staff for sure that they're going to be able to develop him, and they're taking a swing. So we just got to trust the process here for sure. So could they have drafted Cam Whitmore? Cam Whitmore dropped all the way to pick 20 with the Rockets. I was excited when I saw him drop to pick 8. I know you loved Cam Whitmore, so I thought that was a guy they possibly could have taken. Kobe Buffkin dropped to 15 with the Atlanta Hawks. I thought that's another guy that they could have taken. I think Cam Whitmore would have been more of a safe pick because you just know what you were getting. Seeing him play at Villanova, he played there the whole year. You see the athleticism and the explosiveness and how strong K. Whitmore is. But I think it's a good pick. Time will tell. But I think the developmental staff definitely will be put to the test. And you can say everybody needs to get in the weight room, but Bilal, he certainly needs to get in the weight room and get stronger as well. But and I saw him finish with his left a couple of times too. So just to see a guy finish with both hands, I love that too, and a guy that can dribble the ball with both hands as well. So I'm excited. But there's a lot of unknowns with Bilal for sure. A lot of unknowns, but I'm excited.
Now I'm very excited that also, man. Now a part of me was hoping that they would try to find a way to get Cam Whitmore later in the first round,
right?
Because he's just pro ready, man. But you know, Houston, man, their draft they continue to draft well. I'm just hoping it translates into success. You know, it's easy to draft well, man, but it's one thing to put it all together. So, but you know, Houston definitely had a good night as far as drafting. But no, I mean, Bilal, he's got potential. He's raw, but he's got potential, and he's got potential. You know, I think he's going to be decent. Now, you know, we were talking about before the pod, man, about whether he should start or be on the bench. I think he should start out on the bench, you know, work on developing that shot, because if you try to slide him in there with Denny and now you Gaff is now the starting center, you know, you got three guys who aren't big shooters, man, unless Denny kind of takes that step, which I'm hoping he does. But so definitely he's going to have to be developed off the bench, give him some minutes off the bench. But going forward, man, I think he's going to grow into an above average starter in this league. Because I've watched a lot of tape. And I admit I didn't before we did the episode. Now, when we did the episode and I started scouting him a little bit, I started getting deep in the tape. And the intangibles are there, man. It's just the fact of getting used. It's kind of like Johnny Davis, getting used to the speed of the NBA. You know, but the defense is there. So, yeah, going forward, man, this is a good pick. This is a sneaky, and it could be one of those steals of the draft, man. I think he has that upside, but he's got to be developed right. And that's the biggest key with him is development. And confidence. Look at me. Confidence is the name of the game, man. You know, just like Denny. He's a young guy. Young players, man, the biggest key is confidence. So that's the thing. You know, don't rush him. You're in a rebuild, but don't feel the need to have to rush him to start. You know, let him gain that confidence, let him work on his shot and go from there. And I think if they do that and they developed him right, no problems going forward. So no, I'm very happy.
Right. So yeah, he did improve some of his 3-point shooting off the catch. He shot 35.1% off the catch from three. So as the year went on, he did start to shoot better from the 3-point line. And just some quotes from some draft expert, Zach Harper said he said about Bilal, he's going to call him the steal of the draft. And he loves that for the Wizards. And then Jonathan Gavoni added that the forward might have the highest upside of any prospect in this draft. So the Wizards definitely took a swing here. So we're going to get to a couple quick words from Brandon, and then we'll get to the comments.
Yes, sir. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Buying tickets to your favorite events should not be stressful. Gametime is fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports events, music, comedy shows, and theaters near you with killer deals and last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee. You can stop stressing over tickets and start getting hyped for the fun that you will have. Forget planning months in advance. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Wow. Great images of your seat before you buy. That is a big plus right there. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps, and you are set. Snag the tickets without stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And tonight's episode is also brought to you by PrizePicks. So you're probably wondering right now, how does it work? Well, you pick 2 to 6 players, and if they go score more or less than their PrizePicks projections, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. That's right, 25 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you can watch. This includes the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL, PGA Golf, college football, men's and women's college basketball, soccer, the WNBA, esports, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing, disc golf, Euro basketball, cricket, and more. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. It's safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states in Canada. Download the PrizePicks apps and go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code locked on. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code locked on to sign up and get an instant deposit match up to $100.
Yes, sir. Just some quotes from Bilal's press conference, his draft presser. He said, quote, "I'm happy to be a part of the DC family. I'm grateful to be here in Washington." He did speak with Chris Miller. Chris Miller tweeted out that Bilal told him that he compares his game to Paul George and Mikal Bridges. I do see some Mikal Bridges in his game. Just has to work on the shot. Of course, Mikal Bridges can really knock down the three. Paul George, I do see some ball handling there that resembles Paul George. Of course, once again, he's got to work on the shot, but I see the athleticism there for sure. The putback dunks and just getting to the basket and finishing strong. And then also Bilal said Neil Dalal tweeted that he asked Bilal Coulibaly if he thinks he's still growing. And then Bilal says, "I don't think so. I know I'm still growing." So that's intriguing because he's 18. So he's 6'6" right now. A year from now, he could be 6'8". You know, who knows? Because he's still growing. He still is a very, very young man. Also, some insight. Shout out to Hoop District. They tweeted out that Wizards GM Will Dawkins went to Bilal Coulibaly's practice in France earlier this year. Coulibaly says he has spoken with Will Dawkins again and Wes Unseld Jr. on the phone since getting drafted by the Wizards. So it looks like the Wizards definitely Will Dawkins is very familiar with Bilal's game for sure. And then Bilal also said that he can guard 1 through 5. He said he's a two-way player. He can play great defense on all the folks from the point guard to the center. So anybody that wants to go out there and play defense, man, we just haven't had a defensive identity in a long time. So that excites me right there for him to hear him saying that. And then he also says somebody asked him how he's going to celebrate, and he also said, "We're about to go out." And he laughed about that. He said he's going to celebrate with his teammate Victor Wembanyama. There's also somebody else said that he didn't know that he was traded until a fan from the crowd said he got traded to the Wizards. So definitely an interesting press conference from Bilal. So we're going to get to the comments here. 187 people in the chat tonight. So no breaks news says thoughts. We just talked about our thoughts. Reese Coopin says risky pick. Do we expect him to flourish or crash and burn?
Flourish. He's got the intangibles. He's going to be all right. You know, we're going to get him in DC. We're going to get him some mumble sauce and some chicken wings, man. We're going to get some weight on him. We're going to work on that shot, and we're going to go from there, man. He's going to be all right.
Yeah, definitely. Got to get him the Ben's Chili Bowl for sure. And,
yes, sir.
You know, get him some carry-out wings or something like that. Get him on a good diet. You know, take him to DC Prime, the steakhouse as well. Get him a couple steaks for sure, and he should be fine. Is it a risky pick? I do think it is a risky pick. But sometimes that's how you take big swings, and you gotta really trust on your scouting department and doing your research and your feel for the game and scouting. And sometimes you got to take those swings, especially we're in a rebuilding phase. So this is the time to do it. This is the time to do it, especially in the rebuilding phase. I do think it's risky because now I brought up Cam Whitmore. Now he dropped because of the medicals or not interviewing well, so that may be a reason a bunch of teams pass up on Cam Whitmore. I did bring up Kobe Buffkin. That's a guy that I did like out of Michigan too. Maybe he would have been a little too rich for pick 8. But if you like that guy, get your guy. If you like that guy, get your guy. So I do think it's risky just because of the boom or bust factor. I could see it going both ways for Bilal. And I said this 2 weeks ago. I could see it going well, and I could see it going bad because it's just the athleticism is there. But of course, as a young 18-year-old, just like everybody else, there's a lot to work on the offensive side of the ball for Bilal for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of it has to do with mechanics and shot release, but I think it's fixable. It all depends on, him putting in that work. But, like I said, coming from a league where defense is a priority, man, we have young guys who can defend between him and Denny. So I think he's going to be all right. It just comes down to develop him right. That's the biggest key. He needs development. So, but I think he's got all the traits are there for him to be a very successful NBA player, in my opinion. So, I mean, yeah, I was on the Cam, I was looking at, man, I thought we were going to get Cam. And then he continued to slide. And I was like, oh, man, how far are you going to slide? And he got to 20. But, the injuries I get. But I think we'll be all right, man. Bilal, I think is a very intriguing prospect. I wanted Cam, but, at this point, I'm rocking with the front office, man. So, they made a pick, so I'm rocking with it.
Right. Yeah, and the Thunder, they took Ousmane Dieng last year at I want to say pick 11, and he's slowly developing. He's been in the G League. So, he hasn't really hit the ground running. So it may take time for Bilal to develop. I'm gonna trust this new scouting department that they have coming in. If they have new guys coming in the scouting department, so that kind of shows you what kind of swings that the Thunder are willing to take. Usman Jang was not projected to really go that high, but the Thunder, they wanted to get their guy. They wanted to get their guy. The same thing with Jalen Williams. He was starting to get some steam to go that high. I want to say he was about pick 12 or pick 13, and he turned out to be a really, really good player. So, I'm not against the swing. I'm not against the swing, but it certainly is risky. Sheldon T says, got to take a high risk, hopefully high reward. Hopefully has a bit more growing left and ends up an uber athletic 4. I could see that going. I could see that happen for sure. S Cope X says 2030. Ouch. Yeah, it's not the sexiest of first round picks, but we finally got one. So it's 7 years from now. So I did the math, and the pick, if they're 12 years old, they would be 12 years old at this point. If when you're 19, that's when you're a freshman in college. So basically, we would be drafting a 7th grader at this point.
Well, I mean, I just received breaking news, man. They actually just sent scouting to a middle school in Iowa, so we're straight. But
right.
Yeah, it's a little ways off, man. But hey, at least we got one, man.
Yeah, we finally got one. It took us some time to get one, but we finally got one. It's 7 years from now, but hey, we'll finally take one. We're not allergic to first round picks anymore.
Not anymore, but we will see. I still think we need some more, but
definitely,
it's definitely a step in the right direction. I'll definitely say that.
Definitely right. Stuart O'Flaherty says none of the picks from today, Jordan Poole and the new management will all be gone when they pick in the 2030 draft. Who knows, Stu? Who knows? We don't know about that. I mean, they could be here. They could be here. We'll see. I'm optimistic that they'll be here in 2030 for sure. So we'll see. Michael Water says versatile 7-footer going to be head to outperform the future defensive player of the year, Jay Huff. Yeah, no, Jay Huff had a good performance, man. He was I want to say he was defensive player of the year in the G League. He had a really impressive performance in the G League, and it translated into the games last year. Jay Huff looked like he belonged in the league for sure. So this guy Tristan Vukcevic, 7-footer. Chase Hughes just tweeted out, known in part for his outside shooting, Vucevic has played for Real Madrid and Partizan in the EuroLeague, widely considered to be the second best league in the world. But this guy, he can put the ball on the floor. He's like the modern big, where he can shoot, he can get to the basket, he can back you down, post you up a little bit. So I'm definitely gonna watch some more highlights of the young man that we drafted at pick 42. So I'm intrigued.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, with that size and his ability to shoot, very intriguing. Very intriguing. If you look at Jokic, man, what round was he in? I'm just saying. They didn't think much of him either. And look at him, 2-time MVP champion now. So you just never know, man. You got to give our faith into the scouting department and their ability to, develop talent, man. So, I mean, he's definitely a very intriguing prospect too.
Right. Yeah. So they got an instant grade for it, and they got a C-. I mean, it's way too early to grade grades, but the Wizards got a C-. I'm gonna try to put up the read up for that, but like I said, I gotta do some more research on the guy. But from what I did watch, he played well in the combine. Michael Wilder also says, y'all think Gafford is gonna up his numbers to average 18 plus points? He is such a great finisher.
18 plus? I don't know, man. I don't know about Gav. I mean, we'll see on that jump shot. I mean, we'll see. He's definitely going to get opportunities to see if he can put up 18, but I don't see 18, man. He doesn't have that skill set to, if he has an outside shot. I mean, I know he added a jumper, but, you still got to work on that release, but we'll see. I mean, I hope so.
Yeah, no, I don't see 18 points a game for him. That's just not really his game. I think at most probably I can see him averaging a double-double if he really locks in and he gets the minutes. If he can stay in shape and stay out of foul trouble and stay healthy, I can see him averaging, 10 and 8 or maybe even 10 and 10 and a block and a half for sure. So I think that would be the goal for him. I don't think his game is really getting 18 plus points, and that's not what we really want him to. If he goes out there and does it some way somehow, that's awesome. But I don't think that's really what we want him to do. honestly. Go out there
Nah.
and put up 18. That's not really his role. His role is to just be that rim running big, catching lobs. But I mean, he is adding that mid range jumper. So yeah, if he does it, that would be awesome. It really would. It would be nice to add to his game, especially with this roster right now. And if it is going to be a 25-win season, then yeah, sure, go out there and try post moves and try everything in the arsenal for Gaff. He should definitely try to develop as much as he can. Guilty says Poole is a decent guy to give you points while the team build and grows. Not really someone I build around. Yeah, I think he's going to come in and put up buckets like he always does. Put up 20 points a game on the Warriors, 18 points a game 1 year. Came off the bench, played really, really well for the Warriors as well. Was a great piece for their championship run that they had last year. And I think he's going to come in here and fill it up. He's going to come in here and fill it up. So he's going to be excited to watch. Yeah, and that's why I said, I mean, maybe down the line we trade him. Maybe he could be. Maybe he could grow into. Maybe he could develop even more with a bigger role here and grow into a potentially maybe an all-star player. If he really locks in, he has the talent to lock in and become. I really believe he has all-star potential. I think a lot of people recently are having bad reviews on him just because of the bad series he had with the Lakers and the bad ending of the season that he had. The way he played in the playoffs was bad. It was awful. It was. But I think there were some other factors that kind of contributed, some off-the-court stuff that contributed to that.
I completely agree, man. Look, I think he is a future all-star. I mean, he's going to definitely get his points up. Is he somebody to build around? We don't know that yet. He's a young guy who hasn't hit his prime yet. He's shown that he can. He's a bucket. He's proven that. His 3-point shot will improve here in DC. So I mean, he's definitely an intriguing young prospect, man. I mean, like I said, that contract's not killing the cap. And if you want to build up his value and then flip him, and I can see that, but I definitely want to see what he can do in DC at least for this season.
Yes, sir. Lamar Odom. That's a funny name right there. Shout out to Lamar Odom. He says Thunder were going to take Bilal, so it made no sense to trade back. I'm assuming it was cheaper to move up than to move back. Yeah, a lot of people wanted to draft him. A lot of teams were definitely interested in getting him. Some reports were saying the Jazz as well. So the Wizards felt the need to move up, and they only moved up one spot. They gave up second round. We have 80 second round picks, so it really wasn't much. And then we got even more second round picks by trading the 35th pick. So I mean, we just have a gluttony of second round picks. Matt Lofgren says we just picked up a Serbian stretch 5, super young sniper from deep, and a draft combine standout. Yes, I did watch the combine, and that's where he stood out to me.
Yeah, he definitely shoot the ball, man. He could definitely shoot the ball. Yeah, I saw that as well. He's intriguing, man. We definitely got to get him to play some defense. He's not the best guy on the defensive end, but from an offensive standpoint, man. But I'll say this about going back to Jay Huff. I think that Jay Huff needs to be the backup center next year. I think we need to give him minutes and see what he can do as a backup center and see how he can do in that role. But yeah, Vukcevic can definitely shoot, man.
Right. Let me see. There's a lot of comments coming in here. There was a thought. There's some crazy comments in here. Yeah, Jonathan Almeida says, I don't know about another draft and stash. We'll see. We'll see what they end up doing. Josh Robinson said a draft and stash. I wouldn't be happy about that. The Suns just made a selection. Dayton power forward Tumani Kamara proposed trade to the Wizards. So I think that's the guy that we just picked. Power forward. So I definitely gotta. Do you know anything about Tumani Kamara?
Nah, not too much, man.
Right. And then Deez, he says, y'all don't want to say it, so I'll say a horrible pick. Deez, I'm not gonna agree with you, but I'm just gonna say I'm reserved. I'm reserved on the pick. It's a boomer bust pick. Yeah, I can see him being really, really good. I can see him taking some time where it's going to take a long time for him to develop, where you have to wait this out and see what happens in 3 years. And it's a rebuilding process, so they're willing to do it.
Yeah, I think it's too early to really determine that, man. You got to see how it plays out. I mean, he hasn't played 1 minute for the Wizards, so just never know. I mean, time and time again, man, every year we see guys who are projected to go top 5, and then they get picked later in the rounds. I mean, look at Nick Smith Jr. tonight going to Charlotte. You know, a year ago he was projected to be a top 5 pick. Look where he was drafted. Same thing with Cam Whitmore. You know, you just never know, man. You know, until they play a minute for in the NBA, you just never know. So I think he's going to develop into a good player. I'm not saying he's going to start now. I'm not saying that he's a finished product, but eventually he will be a really, really good player, man.
Right. Young Irvin says Wizards once again do nothing on draft day. It's too early to tell, so we'll see. They compare Tristan Vukcevic to Omer Yurtseven, who went to Georgetown. Omer has had a solid career for the Miami Heat coming off the bench, and he has contributed in a couple of games. So we'll see about that. But so Draft Express just came out saying NBA teams who express interest have been told that Vukcevic does not want to be stashed in Europe next season. So he does not want to be stashed. He wants to play him. He wants to play here. So I love that. I love that he wants to play here. I love that he doesn't want to just be stashed away, that he's ready to play. So that really makes me encouraged about that. I'm watching some of his highlights. He's shooting fadeaway jumpers. He's putting the ball on the floor. I'm watching him right now, mid-range game. He's running the floor as well. So I'm intrigued by this guy. I got to look at the Dayton guy. But to say the Wizards once again do nothing on draft day, I think that you got to reserve that. I think that's a little too early to say that. Now, Monte Morris, he did tweet out the eye emoji, so I don't know if he's going to be traded. We'll see. As far as right now, they have not traded DeLon, they have not traded Tyus, and they have not traded Monte Morris. So we still have a bunch of point guards on the roster at this point.
I was going to say, man, it must be refreshing to have a guy from Europe that wants to play. You know,
right.
Somewhere Yannick Zos is like, word? For real?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, man. To come in right away and want to play, man, that says a lot about him, man. So yeah, I love it. Love it.
Yeah, he's got that dog in him. Isuf Sanin, draft and stash. You know, we never got to see him play. So this guy wants to play. I want to see him in the summer. I want to see all these young guys play in the summer league. I'm really excited for the summer league too. And then Shugs BZ says we should trade Denny and Monte for Cam. Are you talking about Cam Whitmore? It's a little too late for that. I don't see the Rockets trading Cam Whitmore at all, especially at pick 20. I don't see that at all.
Nah, I don't think it's happening, man. I think Cam's going to be a Rocket. But, I mean, I think Monte's definitely going to be on the move. Definitely Monte, maybe DeLon, but we will see. Because I think Tyus, man, I think a lot of people are interested to see what he can do in the starting role.
Right. Let's see here. Stewart says, I'm hoping Coulibaly is all-star in 2030. We'll see. It's a long time from now, of course. DC Hoopla says, I stand corrected about the 52nd pick. Phoenix made the selection on our behalf per Sham. So, yes, the young man from Dayton is our pick. We're definitely going to get some draft guys on here to talk about the young man from Dayton, and they'll definitely give us some more insight about him and his game. We'll probably get somebody to talk about Tristan more as well in some future episodes.
Absolutely. Let me go ahead and take a look out of Dayton. Let's see. Okay.
And shout out to DC Hoopla as well. They got a YouTube channel. Make sure you guys subscribe to them. We're picking at pick 57, so that pick is going to be coming in pretty soon. We may still be on her at that time. The Cavaliers got Imani Bates. That's a guy that I was interested in the Wizards getting. Amari Bailey is a guy that I really wanted the Wizards to get. They did not choose him. Of course, with the roster and having too many players, they weren't going to use all of their second-round picks tonight.
Well, I like what we got. So we'll see what this last pick is going to be. But I definitely like what we got. I can understand that, people not being too sure about Bilal, but again, we're in a rebuild, man. It's all about development. It's not so much what you see right now as what you can see down the road. It's important as far as these guys, man, developing the talent. So I think we're good, man. And especially this cat out of Serbia, man. I mean, you show him play defense, man. He could be a very, very intriguing prospect. I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, Tristan. So he's under contract next season for the team that he's playing for overseas, but he wants to play here. So we'll see if we can get him. If he can get out of that contract, if he really wants to be here, I guess maybe he can do something like a buyout. Yeah, and he can play on the team immediately. But yeah, they're at pick 55 right now. Did you want to stay on for pick 57? Isaiah Wong is the pick for for the Pacers out of Miami. But we can either wrap it up or stay on for the last pick.
Let's go for it.
Okay. So this guy on YouTube, we can't really read his name, so I'm just gonna say public relations. He says, "How long have y'all been Wizards fans, Mr. Scott and Mr. Oliver?"
Since the day I came out the womb, homie.
Yeah, you bleeding. I was gonna say you were bleeding red, white, and blue, but at that time you were bleeding the gold and blue. You know, the Gilbert Arenas jersey you got on, and Brandon's rocking a fro tonight, no hat tonight. You know, so Brandon's feeling good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I've been loving the Bullets / Wizards, man, since the day I came out the womb, man.
Mm-hmm. Neil M said, "Let's wait for the pick." Yeah, we got some negativity in here for sure. I think we just got to get that negativity out of here. And of course, the new front office, they have a lot of, it's going to be an uphill battle, you know, because public relations says, I don't trust the Wizards front office not to fumble this rebuild. You gotta, I'm just going to sit here and trust the process. I'm not going to agree with every move. You know, like I said, I didn't like the first two trades, and the first trade was out of their hands, was out of their control. Bradley Beal held all the cards on that. The Porzingis trade, would I've liked more of a return for that? Yes, of course. Was it good that they did get a trade for Porzingis because he could have opted out and left? But then again, I think it was smart for Porzingis to opt in anyway because he's not going to get $36 million from any other team. So the first two trades were certainly not sexy and they were underwhelming, but I thought they made up for it today. So they're not going to be perfect. Every GM has misses in the draft. Every GM. You know, you even look at Michael Winger when he was with the Clippers. They drafted SGA, but they drafted Jerome Robinson, who is not even in the NBA anymore. You look at the Thunder. They made some good picks. They made some bad picks. They drafted Terrence 2K Ferguson, who's not in the league anymore. Mitch McGary, who's not in the league anymore. But they drafted Sabonis. They drafted KD, Russ, James Harden. They drafted Jalen Williams. Usman Jang is taking is not struggling, but he's in the G League, not hitting the ground running. So every team has their hits and misses. The Hawks, they drafted Trae Young. They drafted John Collins. They drafted Cam Reddish, who's been on, 3 or 4 teams already. So every GM has their hits and misses. You have to be patient, but you got to hit more than you miss. And that's just simply put. You got to hit a home run on some of these picks. So you got to trust the process, public relations. That's what I'm going to say. I'm being patient. I'm not going to judge these guys too hard just yet. It is a honeymoon phase. Right now, we had our honeymoon phase with Wes. I think we've seen enough from Wes to decide, like, hey, it may be time. This is the final year for Wes to show out, for me, and it's going to be an uphill battle for Wes. So, I think it's easy to think in a negative way, just being a Wizards fan. For like we always bring up, we haven't made it past the second round since 1979, so it's easy to think that way. So we're trying to get out of that thinking, but they got to prove it to us first.
I mean, this front office has been around. Have they been here a month?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we talking about, man? it's been a month, man. A month. Like, come on, let it play out. Give it a couple of years, man. Like a month. Yeah, come on, man. I mean, get a grip, man. Get a grip.
Yeah. So XD Zaytoven says Imani Bates at 59th. Imani Bates was already drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers. I got to see if Gigi Jackson was drafted already as well. He's a guy that I was very interested in. Amari Bailey got picked, so I'm disappointed we didn't get him. Those are some of the guys that
Travion Smith is still on the board though.
Yeah, Terquavion Smith at NC State. The Warriors are trading Patrick Baldwin Jr. to the Wizards as part of the Chris Paul, Jordan Poole trade. So Patrick Baldwin is a really good shooter as well. He was drafted last season, so we got a shooter in Patrick Baldwin Jr., another young prospect.
Yeah, I like him, man. Very intriguing. So, like I said, I'm on board, man. Just get all the young talent we can get. I'm on board.
Right. Groovy Entertainment says, why have we been bad for so long? Just the front office and bad roster management. You look at what happened with Bradley Beal and the value we could have got for him, and you look at the Rui deal and the value you could have got for Kuz if you decided to trade him before the trade deadline. And, so that's a big reason why we've been bad for so long. Some injuries like the John Wall years, if he didn't break his hand against the Hawks, I feel like we definitely could have got past the second round. Game 7 against the Celtics, that was a heartbreaker. We had a couple of heartbreakers. Gilbert Arenas missing the free throws against LeBron and never getting past the second round. So we've had some good teams, but we just had some unfortunate things. And Gilbert tearing his ACL, and the whole locker room incident. So we had some good teams and some good talent, but it's just like we're almost there, and then something just takes us off the rails, and we just go on this treadmill of unfortunate events and mediocrity.
Yeah, we've had some teams, man, but it all starts, here, man. It starts in building it from the ground up, and we're in a rebuild. So yeah, we've had some good teams, man. But you can look at a lot of teams, a lot of franchises in sports period, and say, coulda, woulda, shoulda. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
My main focus is we're trying to start a new era, and so yeah, we can look at any time in history, especially in sports, and say, if this would have happened, this would have been different. I mean, so. I'm looking forward, man.
Mm. Yeah, Jordan Poole. What were you gonna say, Brandon?
No, I was gonna say the pick is in, so I'm looking to see who is we pick.
Mm. Is it somebody that we're familiar with? Is it somebody from overseas? Oh, Tracy Jackson Davis is the pick, of course, from Indiana. So being a Maryland fan, I've seen this guy play a lot. He is a big man. He can stretch the floor as well. He's super athletic, really good at the pick and roll and pick and pop as well. He won the Karl Malone Award, which is the best power forward in Division I basketball. He's a lob threat too, man. I like his game. He averages 20 points a game, 10 boards and 4 assists. He's a guy that can do it all. He can pass, board, shoot the ball a little bit. So yeah, I think it's a solid pick. I think it's a solid pick. This was the guy that they got. This is the one guy that they got that it has been in college for a good amount of years. Everybody else was very young. The guy from Serbia is 18 years old. Bilal's 18 years old. I got to look up the guy from Dayton as well. I got to see how long he played in college, but I think it's a solid pick.
Oh, I love the pick, man. I'm looking at him now out of Indiana, 6'9", 245. He's got some weight to him. He's out of the guys we've gotten, you can say he's probably the most NBA ready. I mean, you got to work on the offense a little bit, but then again, look, finishes the All-American season with. Oh man, I'm reading now. He's intriguing. I love these picks, man. He's definitely a good prospect too, man. I like that. So yeah, overall, man. Before we roll, man. Overall, what do you rate it right now? What do you rate the draft so far?
Actually, yeah, he actually didn't shoot any threes at all. He's more of an old school big. I'm looking at his 3-point percentage, and he had a 0% 3-point percentage. So he's kind of an old school big. He literally shot 0 threes. He shot 3 threes in 2022. His whole college career, he shot 3 threes. So he really is that old school kind of big. But he can shoot the mid range shot for sure. But high motor, high energy guy. High motor, you're gonna get 110% effort from him. 6'9", 245 pounds. So he kind of reminds me of when the Thunder took James Earl Robinson from Villanova. He kind of reminds me of that kind of player. You said, what's my overall thoughts?
Yes, sir.
It's really hard to draft to grade this one, and I heard that Michael Winger, he was saying this draft was going to be kind of clunky and weird. It is. It's a weird. This draft is a weird draft. There really wasn't. I think they went for talent and upside with the first pick in Bilal, and then with the guy from Dayton, I just got to do more research on him, to be honest. And then the guy from Serbia, they went for upside again. So it looks like they really went for upside. And then the last pick, it looks like they're going for a guy with a really high floor in Tracy Jackson Davis. An athletic big with a high motor. So there really wasn't like an identity with this draft, to be honest. But they just want to get some good young prospects in here that they like. So we'll see, man. It's their first time here, so I don't want to give it a grade just yet. But I guess I'd probably give it like a B+, B.
Yeah, that's what I'm rolling with, man. If we're going off potential, because they haven't played yet. If you're going off potential, it's B+. There's a lot of potential overall across the board in this draft. So to me, it was a good draft because you're drafted on potential. It's a rebuild. So no, I love all the prospects we got, man. I love them. definitely a B plus.
Right, and it's a rebuild, so they're kind of throwing darts at the dartboard right now just to see how these guys pan out for sure. Shout out to Deontay Daniels, this is my guy, former Locked On Wizards co-host. Shout out to him. Make sure you guys subscribe to his channel as well. And D talks a lot as well. Delonte, that's my guy. He says just called it quits for tonight. LOL. Hope y'all had a good stream, fellas. Thank you for checking in. Mott Block said this draft was to ensure they couldn't draft anyone that would make them good enough to prevent them from getting a top 3 pick. Yeah, I wouldn't say that, because anybody really at pick 8, I don't think that would catapult them to winning a whole bunch of games, to be honest with you. I think all the guys that were around that range were good players, but none of them were going to come in and make this team a playoff team.
Nah, I mean, it's all about development. So that's what the expectations are. They're good prospects for developing. We're in the rebuild. So if you're looking for somebody who's going to come in and get Rookie of the Year, you're looking for the wrong players, man.
Right. Anthony Black was taking that 6. Both the Thompson twins were taken back-to-back at 4 and 5. So what were your thoughts on Anthony Black going on 6? Was that somebody that you really wanted, or was that a disappointing outcome that he went at pick 6?
I was kind of on the fence about him. I like his size. I like his motor. Just the offensive side wasn't there. But I mean, my question for Orlando is, how many guards you gonna have, man? They got a bunch of guards. You got Suggs. You get the list goes on. You got Cole Anthony. You got Markelle Fultz. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they kind of thin out going into the offseason. But there's been a lot of mock drafts that had him there, so it wasn't really a big surprise to me, because I didn't think he was going to get the 8. I thought that Orlando was probably the best landing spot for him.
Right. I'm trying to see where Cason Wallace went, and then we'll probably wrap it up. Oh, he went to the Mavericks at 10. So they got Cason Wallace also got traded to the Thunder. So the Thunder already have a good amount of guards with Giddey, SGA. So that's kind of a weird fit there. Jed Howard went to the Magic. Like you said, the Magic, they do have a bunch of guards with Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz. So are one of those guys going to be traded? That's interesting. I am intrigued to see what happens with all these guards that we got. When are they going to trade them? Are they going to trade them before the trade deadline? What's going to happen with Monte? What's going to happen with DeLon? Are they going to keep DeLon? So I'm intrigued to see what happens with the gluttony of guards we got. Jalen Hood, Shafino went to the Lakers. I like him a lot. Cam Whitmore went to the Rockets at pick 20, so that was definitely different. I was not expecting him to drop that far. Jordan Hawkins, who I liked a lot, he went to the Pelicans at pick 14. Just summarizing the draft, and we'll wrap it up, because it's definitely been a long night. Just a long, really 24 to 40 hours for the Wizards organization for sure. Really the last week as a whole. Nick Smith went to the Hornets at pick 27. Who else? James Najee went to the Pistons at pick 31. Jordan Walsh went to the Kings. Maxwell Lewis went right before the Wizards at pick 42. I really would have liked if the Wizards would have drafted Maxwell Lewis at pick 35, but they traded the pick. I think Maxwell Lewis would have been a great fit. So that's the gripe that I have. If I had to ding them for something, that's what I'm kind of dinging them for, to get Maxwell Lewis. Maxwell Lewis out of Pepperdine, I think that's a guy that can really shoot the 3, I think he would have been able to come in and contribute really possibly day one, because he can really shoot and he can really score. I know they had to make a trade because they couldn't have so many players on the roster, so I get that as well. Amari Bailey was drafted right before we drafted Tristan Vukcevic, so I really wanted Amari Bailey. He's going to the Hornets. And then when did we pick again? We picked at 52, the young man from Dayton, Tumani Kamara. Our pick is coming up again. So I know we got to wrap it up, but Memphis is on the clock at pick 56, and then we got one more pick at 57. Did you want to stay on or wrap it up?
Nah, man, I got to wrap it up.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up right here. We're going to get to bed. Hope all you guys had a great night. I just want to thank you guys for locking in, of course, and watching. And make sure you guys tune in next week. We're going to try to break down all these picks as much as possible. Hell to the Wizards. Have a good night. Peace.